how did you escape? It's like they're living in jail. Oh, when was the last time you were in Hamilton? She's like, well, I'm the mayor. And I was like, oh my gosh. Next minute, we're onto a duck. I had to start by just looking myself in the mirror and saying, I am enough. And there's Elle McPherson, she's like, And I was like, go on, you need the protein.
Like if it was getting a little, out of hand, I'd call it my hairy growler.
It was the most bougie birthday party you could ever have.
Duck?
Yeah, it's a pretty...
Hello everybody and welcome to Unscripted, real talk on real life. I am your host Sarah, joined by my wonderful co-hosts, the beautiful Renate and the equally beautiful Victoria. Today we have a wonderful guest we're all very excited about, the beautiful Kyria Warren. She is a successful entrepreneur, a beautiful mother of 2 boys, and she is recently on the Apprentice Aotearoa. We are really excited. Thank you so much for joining us and taking your time to be with us today. Really exciting for you. There's a lot going on. The Apprentice, we're up to episode 4. It's getting very juicy. We have been. We're all like, what's going on? What inspired you to approach and get onto the Apprentice?
Interesting story. So I was celebrating with my team after we ended up with 20 charter boats out there for the Cup, and we went up to a bar, which was a friend of mine's, which was as ladies at lunch, but they also had the men join them. And so we went up there and we ordered some champagne, and all the boats, as we're standing there in this moment, were coming past the window. And we were like, this is a fist pump
power,
moment.
yeah.
And I was so stoked, and we were like, energy was flying around the room, and had our glass of champagne, doing the cheers, everything was epic. And this lady sees me from over the room and says to one of my staff, I really want to talk to that lady. Who is she? And she said, she's my boss. And she said, I'd like to talk to her, would she mind? And so she pulled me out and said, shooting this wee show, and we'd love to interview you to come on the show. And I was like, what?
Holy shit.
And this was back in, I think, December or November? December. And I was like, whoa, this is a big thing, because my whole business is based, or at that time was based around the America's Cup, and we had 20 charter boats out there. So the next morning, I had to get up and go in for the interview. And what made me want to do it was the fact that my boys and I had watched it from when they were little, and I'd have one under each arm, and we'd be watching it, and we'd be like, wow, what's going to happen next? Yeah. And I love the business aspect of it. And so I think the fact I wanted to go on was to show that you can be kind in business. You don't have to stand on anyone to get ahead. I like that. Yeah, and I hopefully I achieved that.
That's a beautiful way to have gone about it, and that mindset. And I think also watching the show, that sort of side of you, that real sort of compassionate and really kind, giving side of you really shines through on the show. And the fact that you are such a people person, like, we watched throughout, and you were always like this light that would go and introduce yourself and make everyone feel welcome and comfortable in the room. And we thought that was just quite beautiful show of who you are.
I think everybody probably will agree with that as well, for sure. Yeah.
Very kind. I definitely was the oldest one in the house, so I did feel a little bit like a mother figure, But they were. I learnt so much. It was so challenging, and but I learnt a lot about myself and pushed myself. Yeah, and even being here today is pushing myself, because I've never done anything like this before. So.
Well, what was the most challenging for you on the show?
Walking into a room and you've got to pitch to someone and you have no idea who's in there, and they're just like, here's, and you wrote your pitch the day before, like, and then they'd take your books off and you couldn't really practice it, and then you're like, I've got to go in literally cold. And then Catherine is amazing. She's an amazing public speaker. Like, how foxy is she?
Love her.
Yeah. Did you hear me say Sassy Cassie on the show? And it stuck.
She is sassy. She's hot.
Epic. Yeah. She's so inspiring. Yeah. But she was like, go into this with no notes. And I was like, no notes. And you literally had, if you had that amount of time to practice it, it would be great, of course. But this is reality TV, and they're like putting you under the pressure, and you're like, go, and you walk into a room and you're like, who's going to be in there? And it was like
quite intimidating.
On the spot. You did have a couple of moments in there where you really really shone, and then you had a couple of moments with us watching where one in particular where you had to do the presentation, you were just like, you actually handled it quite well, where you said, I
would
just
have
need to
freaked out and
pause.
ran out of the room.
Anyone else would have been like, it was like, I need a pause. How was that? Was that going through your mind, that sort of shock moment, or what was going through?
There's a long story behind that, and it's a good one.
Go on, we want to hear. Give it to
I'll
us.
give you a shorter version of it. I'll go real fast. So, just before I went into that pitch, we had been standing in a foyer, and I was looking at the screen, and it was the final of the America's Cup, and I'm like, and all the cast coming up to me, you know, how are you feeling? Well, your boats are out there, and like my mind was flicking between my real life and this task, and I just wish they'd turned the TV off, because I was like, I wonder how. I was thinking about my staff. You know, I've left them behind. We had no cell phone, no laptop, no connection to the outside world. And my brain is like, businesswoman, it's your baby. So you're thinking about it, and you're like, and then someone's like, who's going to win? How's it going to affect your business? And so my brain's like on this pitch, on this. And then there was so many things going on. And I'm like, kind of like trying to stay on task. It was a tourism task. We were talking.
Yes, so your niche.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There was a misunderstanding with Nicola and I. She said, don't talk about she didn't say that. She said, don't talk about talk about we. And I was like, well, I'm in tourism. I can talk about my business and parallel it into how we can market Hamilton, because I've marketed my company over 4 COVID lockdowns, and we're good at marketing. I was going to implement that same structure into marketing Hamilton. And so, and I kind of thought, well, what's the difference if I'm talking about my company, if I'm in that task? Right. When it was the design task, she talked about how she designed for the Kardashians and swimwear. So that's the same thing. And to be honest, you've got to use the platform that you've been given to promote your business. It's crazy not to. So, in hindsight, genius idea.
Good on you, actually.
Well, you grabbed that moment.
Yes. I like that. Good on you. Yeah.
We've got to learn some sass from this.
Well, they said, you know, she actually said, don't talk about I. So I changed it to we. And you see my head, and I'm going, so I walk into the room, right? We walk in the room. There's a panel of 4 people. And I'm like, I knew that, because I'd paced the room, seen all the trophies from DDB, they're in advertising, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're advertising. They said there'll be someone from advertising and someone from tourism. Right. And we walk in the room, and Nicola starts a presentation, and she's like, doesn't clarify who's in the room. And I'm like, you've got to know who your audience is.
Yes,
who are we talking to?
Didn't know that the mayor was there.
Yeah.
It was
so bad. I was like,
Have you been to Hamilton?
when was the last time you were in Hamilton? She's like, well, I'm the mayor. And I was like, oh my gosh. And in that moment, I'm just like, get me a crane, pull me out of here, put me somewhere else.
It was very entertaining for us watching.
It was a bit crickety. It was like, oh shit.
I think everybody had that cringe moment. Like, oh.
She was incredible though. Like honestly, this is she was Paula was incredible. She came up to me afterwards in the lobby, and she said, I really respect that you stopped, paused, and gathered yourself. She said, I've been on live television and I've absolutely choked. And she said, you know, I'm the mayor of Hamilton. You can't do that. You know, it's like, you know, everyone just thinks you can't do that, but we're all human.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
It's okay.
We forget something and we've got to recall it. We have to take a moment. You know, you can run off the stage or whatever if you wanted to, but you didn't. You contained yourself. You put yourself together. And
ground open up, swallow me. But no, there was.
It's actually more respect for you, the fact that you stood there, you paused. You know, we could see that you're a little bit rattled, a little bit uneasy, but then boom, you got it, you took it,
and it was brilliant. You like
succeeded.
Explained what was happening. Like, I'm taking my moment and gathering myself, and it was really well handled. I think.
Yeah.
And then there was Cassie Aroma had said to us in the boardroom the week before, we don't want you to use notes anymore. And I'm like, whoa, we've got to learn it in 24 hours. We've got to pitch to people we don't know we're pitching to, and we're not allowed to use notes. Holy hecko, this is pushing me to my limits. And I took that challenge, and in that task, you don't see me with any notes, but I'd put some key points on the slideshow to push me through. So that was another step. So you're making these improvements. Well, I felt like I was putting myself out there, and I was taking everything on and trying to learn from this this moment, and I definitely feel like I have learnt from the show for sure.
Oh,
What's the biggest thing you've taken away, you know, from The Apprentice?
yourself,
Like,
yeah,
you know, that you can
personal.
adapt to your own business, perhaps.
I just really put yourself out there. Try. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. You know, I wanted to be perfect, and I worried about what I said so much because I wanted to protect the other people. Because a lot of the time I was thinking, you could see it in my eyes. I'm like this.
Oh my gosh, yes. You had great facials, by the way. I loved your facials. And it was like, you could see you so wanted to say something, but you just, it was all in the eyes.
But I didn't even know I was doing that with my eyes.
Brilliant. It was brilliant.
It's a great
such
episode,
character.
I think, for quite a lot happened in that episode. And it was quite interesting to see because when you went into the boardroom, it became quite evident there was a lot of eat back and forth. And we're sat there, we're shouting at the screen, being like, but this, blah, 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 blah. We're getting ourselves involved in what actually happened. Afterwards, when Nicola left, you really, like in yourself, you're quite authentic. You don't know what's happening on your face. We can see all your expressions and things, and you were very authentic in, you know, your feelings around it. And you sort of broke down and the tears came. What were those tears? Was it relief or was it stress or was it, because it was very confrontational what was going on?
You didn't see the half of what went on in that room. You saw this.
They edit to a certain amount to show what they want to show, but the rest we're all left guessing, going, oh my God, what happened?
It was brutal. It was just like, and I was literally that person. I was like, I don't want to. You did this and you did that. There's no point in pointing the finger. Actions speak louder than words. And Nicola came at me pretty hard, to be honest. And I just was like, a couple of times, are you for real? Like, you know, you made it a duck. And she said I didn't. She said I liked the idea.
You didn't. You said you didn't right from the beginning.
Duck.
Yes.
And it was all on TV. And she's gone in her head, I'm not going to listen to you anyway. She'd already made
That's
that
the
mind
thing, it's
up.
recorded though, isn't it? People, they forget that the audience has actually watched what. We saw, that.
Or will be watching what.
Yeah, so my idea was a sunflower, and I ran into it for like 20 minutes, and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we lined the entrance to the Hamilton with sunflowers? Because have you seen the gardens down there?
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Incredible. Hours. The whole day you could spend there.
So 1.2 million people a year go to those gardens. And I was like, let's line Hamilton with sunflowers, and you know, all of the older people will start growing them in their sections, and it becomes the sunflower city, and it's got the gardens, and it will relate.
I love that.
And she was like, no, that's not a good idea. And it was just, and she chose a duck.
Was it a mullet? What'd you say? A mullet?
Cassie afterwards, and she was like, what was it? That was a duck up.
That was a duck up. Yeah. It was a complete.
And then I had to do everything I could just to bite my tongue. In the end, you're on a time restraint. You've got an hour and a half to come up with a plan. Wow. And I've done 20 minutes of pitching the sunflower. That was poo-pooed. Next minute, we're on to a duck. And I'm like, oh my goodness,
Where
a duck.
did that duck come from? Like, what?
Apparently.
From her farm.
Hamilton
That's right.
Farms.
Yeah, but she said it was
water,
from her farm.
duck.
I'm like, well, that's your farm, not
Instead of the
everybody
poo
else.
like the mayor said, or your sunflowers, because it is the garden.
Yeah, relate it to something.
Yeah, relatable.
But the funniest part was when she said she's going to go home, go duck shooting.
I know, I laughed at that. We actually paused it on that because her facial expression was actually really epic. Yeah. And I actually really liked it. I was like, I'm going to go home and shoot some ducks.
I actually go duck shooting, and we're like,
and she's this glamorous, gorgeous, beautiful wee thing. They can imagine her in gumboots with a big shotgun shooting freaking
She's
guns.
actually incredible. She's incredible. She drives trucks in the mines in Perth. She's actually very, like when she wants something, she'll go and get it sort of thing. And I rate that about her. And to be honest, I'm a very strong woman. Yeah. And to come up against me, I really applaud her for that. And she is...
She's still quite really young too, eh?
Yeah.
So she's got a
doing well, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She's doing well.
Yeah. And I honestly wish her all the best with her future.
It's awesome.
I messaged her the next day and said, love to catch up with you, you know, and...
No hard feelings.
100%.
And business is business.
Yeah. So
it was good of you to do that. It's, again, shows a great character there, and
that's pretty much what you are. I didn't realise. I was like, this reality TV is not reality.
Yes, we have heard, and like living with. Were you living with that many people the whole time, or were you allowed to go home at the end of the day?
No, you're living there.
The whole time.
I think it was 7 weeks, over 7 weeks. But we had a women break. We had to come out for COVID. We had a COVID break in the middle of it, and I was like, ugh, I wish we hadn't, because then we could have just stayed in.
Yeah.
But getting, in a way, I got to come out and check in on my company, and I definitely did better the second time back, knowing that they were all fine, and they
That's
had
a
nailed
long
it.
time
So
to
you
be...
weren't allowed to get in touch with the outside world while you
That
were
was the
in
hard
that.
part. Not seeing
At
my kids,
all?
not being able to call or
Not
text
even-
my kids.
For 7 weeks? Nothing.
Just
What?
nothing.
Why? Not even night time?
No laptop, no being able to do your emails. It's like you literally just poof, disappear.
Oh, that's really hard. How did you manage on those really difficult days, or whether you've had a full-on time with a task, because your brain's constantly going, you've got a million things going on in your head happening, you're missing home, your family, and then you have a really tough sort of afternoon where you're in that board, and that was a tough thing to go through. How did you sort of handle that? What were your sort of outlets and things? Because you can't go back
Could you
home
leave
and
the
decompress.
house?
No,
Go for a walk,
you
go to the
couldn't leave.
gym.
You couldn't leave their property, and that was hard. I was doing laps up and down the driveway, exercising, because I train with Monty Beethan.
Yeah, I've seen you do. Hottie alert. Hello.
I love Monty. He's amazing. He's just so inspiring. He's such a good guy. But honestly, next door to Boxing Alley, he's moved into Grayman's fitness studio, and we've got, it's like a FMBC family. We are a family when we work out in the morning. But I took that into the house with my boxing. I took my boxing bag in, and I'm like pounding that out there, doing my press ups, and Monty was in my head a lot. Just get that, and it helps me in my business and in life just to exercise the stress out. I did meditation, breath work, and a bit of yoga and stretching, and then I had my. We weren't allowed anything like it with the screen on it. We had those little I had to go and Google what an MP4 and where to buy one. And
Do they exist?
Yeah, well, I know they do.
What? 1992?
Yeah. So I listened to that to put myself asleep because it was a real echoey house, and so you get tired. They've got the cameras waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Wow. And it's intense, and you never know what you're going to get thrown at you each day. It's like, but I love that. I love it when I'm on a task. And
You're
like,
very
give me jobs.
driven. You're very driven, very motivated.
Yeah.
Bull by the horns. You're just a go-getter. I mean, and that shows, with your amazing, by the way, your freaking luxury lass is amazing. Like I've been looking at it. Your land, air, sea. Yeah. I mean, what a phenomenal concept and business that you're doing. And you started last year in COVID?
2 years ago, yeah.
How was that born?
I mean, my God.
Where did that come from?
It's a cool story. I am really proud of it. And so I had one charter boat and was renting that out for 4.5 years, doing VIP charters. And then I got a big contract on that for the America's Cup. And that was a substantial contract for the Christmas Cup, Parada Cup, and the America's Cup. So it was like 43 days of charter in total. And that was one of the major sponsors of the America's Cup. And then when I got that on the boat I owned at the time, I got all the other skippers in the viaduct started talking about, can you get one on mine, can you get one on mine? And then we'd done some advertising. We had a list of clients that wanted boats, and then skippers that wanted us to get the contracts, and I thought, wow, if you can do that on one contract, imagine if I got more boats. Yeah. And so, and then my girlfriend rings up and goes, can you rent out my holiday home on Waiheke? And I was like, totally, I can do that, no worries, for the America's Cup, So I came up with the idea of luxury lass being the fact that I'm a lass, and lass stands for land, air, sea.
Love it, yeah.
Okay.
So when you are doing the charter boats, what's actually involved? What goes on the boats, or is it what goes on boats stays on boats?
Look, there's definitely been a couple of those charters.
Is there events that you have on there? Is it just catered? Is there shows? Is there entertainment? What's involved?
All of the above.
We
have had magicians, we've had singers, we've had DJs, we've had Pokemon. We had a Squirtle on board for
What's
a 7-year-old's
Squirtle?
birthday.
Oh,
Pokemon.
Party. Yeah, and he's like,
someone chartered you for a
Squirtle.
7-year-old birthday party.
$1 later. It was the most
What the
bougie birthday party you could ever have.
Duck?
Yeah, it's a So my job is fun. Yeah, they wanted Pokemon. Shit. Actually, that was the birthday party. It was for a 7-year-old, and they had this huge boat, beautiful, with a slide going into the water. We had 2 lifeguards, one at the top, one at the bottom. They said we want all the kids had gift bags. They were beautiful gift bags that you would be happy to get yourselves. You'd be like, I've got this amazing gift bag. The food was incredible, all Pokemon themed, like down to everything.
So do you organise all of that? So they give you, this is what I want Pokemon theme, and you're like, okay, boom, and then you organise everything
down
to the detail.
How do I get my daughter invited?
$1,000.
Did they give you a budget, or they said just go ahead and
It's
tell
funny
us how
because a
much
lot
it
of them
is?
will start for, they'll start here and then start going up. I can't even remember what that birthday party ended up, but it was around about that price. Something was blooming, it was a lot. And then
7-year-old.
yeah.
Do they don't want to adopt anybody else? In the family?
I don't mind lending them my 5 children for the weekends.
Imagine doing that. How many did you say? 5?
She's 5.
Holy heck.
I know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, wonderful.
So amazing.
Anyway,
Sorry, where was it gone? How amazing she is. Sorry.
That's great. Yeah. So Luxury Lass is, we started off with that boat, and then I ended up with 20 charter boats for the America's Cup. I literally ran out of boats. I was going around all the marinas, hustling, finding boats, taking photos of them, ringing up, finding the owners, got the boat on board, matched up the customers, and then, we did the catering down to, we ended up with 3 boats we found the skippers for, and the staff, and then put caterers on. And so some of them we had live music on, depending on what the customer wanted, we created. So, yeah.
so for the people watching and that, so like the charters, can anyone hire you? Like, is it affordable for anyone or just for
We've got things down to
wealthier?
Yeah, we do all spectrums of the boats. Some of them start from a smaller amount, I think, the little party boats. So we do the lower end so that everyone can enjoy it. Yeah. And then
That'll
we
still
get
be
people
fun,
that, we have birthday parties, engagements, weddings, corporate functions, all on boats.
I want to go on a boat.
Yeah.
I want to
do a
come
podcast on a boat.
Oh, yes! Anybody want to loan us a boat for a podcast?
Maybe we could do an unscripted ball on one of your charters.
Amazing, yeah.
So, okay, what I heard a story about, which I'm so excited to hear about. You met Al McPherson on one of your charter boats. Please, I want the whole story. I want to know everything because it was one of your charter boats, your event.
It was something you organised, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
I'll just say,
It was
I read it.
It was it. No,
Whatever. They're wrong.
I'll take that. Boom. Imagine having. I mean, I met Al McPherson. We went to an amazing charity do, and my table won the auction, and I took out some really dear friends to meet Al McPherson. We spent a day with her. It was incredible, inspiring. She was actually really nervous at the start, and then I was just like totally relaxed, and we chatted away. And by the end of the cruise, we're snuggled up on the couch, a blanket over our knees, all the food's coming out, and she doesn't eat fish or seafood. And I was like, you have to try New Zealand fish. It's incredible. And there's Al McPherson. She's like, oh. And I was like, go on, you need the protein. And she's like, okay then. And she just ate this fish, and she's like, it's actually incredible.
Oh my God.
And then, and she's just so down to earth, so beautiful. We talked about our kids, just so real, and it was so inspiring. And then the whitebait comes out, and she's like, might as well give this a go as well. And I was just like,
That's
so yeah, it was a beautiful day, and I know the people that were on board, like Erin Simpson was there, my sister was there. They still send me photos every year. You know how the memories come up, and they're like, remember this day? And I was like, how could I forget?
How could you forget the body, like one of the most top supermodels in the freaking world, who still looks, my God, she is so hot. It's
Honestly.
so amazing.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
She's like 55 now, isn't she?
Yeah, I think so. She's
She's just fucking hot. She's just a MILF, mate. She is just a MILF, like Cindy Crawford, just a MILF.
Yeah.
So what was your, you guys were snuggled up under the blanket together.
Yeah.
Were you having quite an intimate conversation?
Yeah, we spoke
Quite personal
about, I'd just
conversation.
broken up with my husband, and it was a really tough time for me. So this trip with the girls was just perfect. I was just like, I got my girls around me. Al McPherson's here, cha-ching, living life on a boat. You know, it was awesome and amazing day. And there we are. And I said, I've just been through this. And I wanted to relate to her so she could go, well, you're a real person, you know, like we are now. And it's just like talking real stuff. And she told me that she'd been through a marriage breakup and gave me some really, really good advice. That was, the person you are today, that you're broken, it's like when your marriage breaks up, you're grieving a death.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that,
it's like
A huge loss.
just huge loss, and you don't know what's going on, and people start talking, and you're like, ugh, it just becomes, and the more they talk, the bigger it gets, and so I like, you just have to pull away from all that. But I was explaining to her the situation I was in, and she gave me the most amazing advice, that was, the person you are today, and this broken woman that's grieving this loss, you wait to see what you'll be in 2 years' time. And I was like, I can't wait to meet this woman. I can't wait to meet what I'm going to be in 2 years' time. And here I am. And it's like,
And look at it, and it was pretty much
She's
2
right.
years, and boom,
Yeah,
there
I
you
was
are,
like-
luxury lass. You're on The Apprentice, you're out there, excitingly. Oh, hold on, do you want to talk about something else? Because I was going to go down a completely other track.
No, I
But
was just
keep
going to quickly ask, have you been in touch with Elle since and told her where you are now?
no, I need to do that. I messaged her once on her on Instagram, just to say, you know, everything's epic. And so I don't know, she probably doesn't manage, knowing Elle, she won't manage her own. She has some amazing company running it, but definitely a story that I would love to tell her and show her where I've come from here to there, because I was one broken lady, and very, very sad. And but yeah, I feel like I've rebuilt. I dived in deep into my business, and my business literally saved me.
That must have been really tough, though. I mean, you were in that place where it was hard. It was a very, very hard place. And sometimes it's really hard to look outside of that and ahead. So it's like beautiful words that she gave you to give you that push for that person ahead. Going through a separation, you had 2 boys. And then within 2 years, you've built up this incredible company. What did that look like, juggling everything, sort of coming out, grieving, coming out of that loss, caring, you're a mother, you're still being a mother, caring for your children, and then rebuilding, and then COVID hits. Like, how did you manage all of that?
Yeah, it was a brutal time. If I knew what I know now, I would manage myself differently. I was heartbroken, absolutely devastated. It was just, COVID hit, I actually couldn't see my children. And so that was just devastating, and I had to go.
How long? It
was nearly. It ended up being a long period of time, and I actually don't want to talk about. It makes me really sad not being able to see them. But we'd meet in a park 2 metres away to see each other, and I had to go and get a COVID test to even go and hug my children. And as any mum knows, the umbilical cord is just stretched to the ends of its limits, and anyone that knows me knows that I was a real hand-on mum, hands-on mum. I managed the rugby teams and PTAs and did all the school socials, did the after ball, and I was stay-at-home mum for all those years. I never had a nanny, and it was tough. So
making me all emotional.
eyes going too. We just love our babies.
Yeah, and you never stop loving them. Even though sometimes you lose your mind and you're like, why is the universe sending me all this crap?
There's always a reason for everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes ages before you can look back and go, that's why.
Yeah.
But you're amazing.
Yeah, you're fucking awesome.
Yeah, so, my boys are incredible. They, I wish I could do things differently for them. I hope this inspires other people out there that if you're going through separation, be kind. And remember your babies
are you guys listening?
Important.
Good advice.
I
think,
honestly,
that's
kindness.
in a general whole, be kind always.
Because at the end of the day, we're all human, and our mental health is so important. So going through separation is just horrific.
And I think as well, it's when you go through a separation, it's not just between you and your partner, it's between friends and families and the different engagements you used to engage in together. And I find what happens is people do forget you're human going through something very horrendous, and I think it's quite easy and quick where people start judging and putting in their own 2 cents and creating their own narrative around it. And I think for other people, like saying, be kind, share that kindness. And I think it's also a really important time to show yourself some kindness and let yourself off the hook, because then you go through all that guilt and that anger and that, that frustration, whereas sometimes it's just going, I'm human, I'm going through this, and I'm going to allow myself to
feel it all.
You play games with yourself, like the what ifs. What if I'd done this, or if I could have done that, or if I had have said this, or if I hadn't said that. And, now I totally do things differently. my boys are incredible. Actually, one of my sons just made the first 15 at King's at 16 years old.
Congratulations! Brody, congratulations, Brody.
So I went to his first rugby game the other day. I was like, man, that's my son. And my other son's just flying. He's at university. And he's 19. You couldn't be more proud of them. And seeing them run out there on that rugby field, you're like, that's my boy. Yeah. That came out of me.
Yeah.
I made that kid. Yeah. And if I said that to his mates, he'd be like, shame. Yeah.
Deep down, he'd be like, yeah, mum.
Yeah. Put a high five under the table there.
So how do they deal with you being on The Apprentice? Like,
do you know what? They're teenagers. They just kind of grunt. Their friends love it more. Their friends are like, Kyria, can we come around and watch it with you? More than they would. They'd be like, shame, mum's on the show. What's she going to say? They honestly think I've got Tourette's sometimes. I do. It's okay.
I love it.
But yeah, no, I asked them, I said, how do you feel about it? And they were like, because they watched it with me when they were little under my arms. So I think they're proud of me. Like, so far, so good.
I'll bet you they are. They just probably don't tell you. Yeah. But they're probably going,
they're at that age, aren't they?
They're going, that's my mum. She made me.
It must be pretty cool for them seeing mum on TV. I mean, it's, national Apprentice Aotearoa, and it's the first one we've ever done, isn't it?
Second one.
Have we done the first one?
Yeah, there was one 10 years ago.
Shame, I've seen my bad.
How many years?
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Sarah Pesos?
Oh,
that's it. 10 years ago already.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Okay, so that's why. So we'll just pretend that never happened.
Yeah.
So this is the first one. I mean, it must be pretty cool for them. I think it'd be pretty cool if I saw my mum on national television looking like a boss bitch and owning it. And, and you come across so well, and I think that's really important. And because we know that reality TV can really portray you. They can pick the bits to make you look like not a very good person or not a kind person.
Yeah, they didn't get the chance to do that with you at all.
Were you happy the way it was like? So when you've watched it back now, obviously you're in it, you're in this bubble, which I think people quite often forget in the TV. You don't hear about all the other stuff that's going on from our human level. You're in this sort of bubble in this hot box of like everything happening. When you've come out of it and watched it back, are you happy with the show and how you were portrayed and the editing and...
80% yes, I'm happy. Yeah. The 20% is I didn't realise how much they chopped and changed things. And it's like, you go in to do a pitch, and I went in to pitch to New World, and what they don't show you is I knew one of the ladies on the panel, and she was firing these crazy questions at me, and the energy in the room was like, whoa. Like, she was asking me, I mean, I can say this, it's aired, so it's pretty funny, but I was sassy. Like, when she started hitting me with these questions, like, we made a popcorn brand in 24 hours, Kia Corn, right? Yeah. And you saw me, I slipped up and said pleasure porn instead of pleasure porn. I was like, my mother better not be watching the show. I'm going to be crucified.
Easy slip of the tongue.
Slip the tongue down.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, what the heck? I checked the spelling on that bag, and it was supposed to say finding treasure in every moment. Yeah. Because we were putting little treasures in the packet. Which is so cool. And they changed the word to match the show and put finding pleasure in everything moment. I was like, oh my goodness.
Pleasure?
Oh my God, that's epic.
So it was so fun.
Fantastic.
When I watched it back, I thought, what the heck, they changed it. And then I was like, well, that's not how it works. And then in that episode, I pitched to New World first, and I knew that lady, and it was a real intense environment. She was real intense to me, and I was like, wow, lady, I know you, and I'm one of your best customers at your New World, and this is the way you treated me. Wow, that's not very nice. And I thought, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot, and how's this affecting New World and your brand? Not cool. If that was my New World, I wouldn't be slaying someone on national television. Yeah. My opinion, anyway. Then she says to me, after I'm like, we'd like an order for 50,000 units of popcorn, and she's like, how are you going to produce these? And I was like, thinking in my head, I'm not a beeping genie. I haven't run out of the house.
You can say the word duck if you
I
like.
haven't done.
We're unscripted, uncensored, babes. Just go.
I'm not a genie. I didn't run out of the house overnight, buy a popcorn factory, employ some Oompa Loompas, and then just, go and make some popcorn.
Well, people forget, I think even watching the show It's Forgotten, you've had 24 hours for this.
That's amazing.
You can tear it apart or, pull out whatever, but that whole thing, 24 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's amazing. It's an awesome achievement.
And full credit to the ladies that did the storyboard, because they have to come up with all these tasks, and COVID kept hitting them and they had to keep swapping the tasks around. So it was just like they had a juggle as well. So and the people that made the show were incredibly professional with that side of it. But there is one more point with that woman pitch, going back to the New World. Came out of New World, and then I sat down. I had 45 minutes to regather myself before I went into the countdown one, which was the gorgeous lady that
was
started
so
crying.
So wasn't she awesome?
She was
what
amazing.
a difference. And I noticed that as soon as you walked into both, I was like, what a difference in teams. And the boss, they were so down to earth. They were funny. She really loved you. Yeah. She cried. And I was like, oh my gosh, this woman's amazing. Then you went into New World, and it was and you could sense it on television.
Yeah.
You could sense it.
Imagine walking into that room and you don't know who's going to be in there, and I see her and I was like, oh wow, I know her. And I think it'll be fine. Together, And I thought she sees me in the supermarket buying all my groceries. It's a big spend when you got two boys. They eat like horses.
Do you think that affected the outcome of that, of the orders?
No. They just cut it and edited it. But they looked like I did the bad pitch. They looked like I did the good pitch first, then I did the bad pitch. And then when you go to the boardroom, they're like making the drama build. So,
of course, it's drama TV though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what gets the punters watching, gets us, what's going on between them, and keeps us fixated on the drama. Yeah. Now, was there any drama behind the scenes in the house? Can you spill any beans?
Romance?
Are you allowed to? Oh, romance. So you can just jump straight into it.
No romance. There was definitely some heated discussions over things. I definitely called a couple of family meetings and was like, right, everyone in. We're going to... And but we had some beautiful moments. We had some house dinners and we did highs and lows of each, around the table. We had an amazing guy, Simon, who looked after us in there, and he, was like cooking us breakfast and things like that. So it was, when we were up trying to race to get our makeup done to go to the next challenge or whatever, and half the time I just was like, I'm just going to be natural because that's me, and put minimal on and just go and work. And then he'll be down there cooking up your breakfast, and next minute, your eggs arrive next to you while you're trying. And I was like, I need one of them at home.
Angel.
I miss Simon. I miss you, Simon.
Simon, I hope you're listening.
Yeah. My address is
and mine.
I have noticed, just sort of on your social media and things, watching you, food and being around the table and family, that seems to be very important and quite prominent in your life, because you come from quite a big family, don't you? Like 6 sisters?
6 sisters, yes. So we've got 7 girls in total, and we've got a full netball team. We always joked about that. My poor father, we were like, you know what? He had a hard road. Like how loud we are all talking at once. Try that with 7. And round a dinner table, whatever, and sometimes we'd get pretty heated. And my dad was an electrician, so he'd just walk up. He'd leave the room and then walk up to the mains and flick the mains off. And we'd go, oh my God, it's a power cut. And we'd all shut up. And then we'd go and get the candles and light it, and he'd set the scene and be like, candles, relaxing. But that was ingenious.
That was clever.
So if your kids are getting feisty at home, just flip the mains off.
Yeah.
How many houses are going to go through power shortages lately? What's going on with the power?
I've done that to my kids, but not while we're sitting around the dinner table. But, when, they haven't listened or they had to do something and they were on their games, they're probably going to hear that now. They'll know that was me now.
What secrets being given away?
Don't mind.
Are you quite close with all of your sisters? Because I've seen quite a few stories with your sisters and cooking and singing and Are you quite close?
Yeah, look, it's been, what families are like, woo! And, add religion and then add me going off and doing my thing, and then, finding my own journey in life and in our ways. We've all kind of gone, whoo! But I feel like we're all coming back together, and and there's some that you've just always been tight with, and now we're all just coming back together, and it's a beautiful synergy. And we love cooking together. We love singing together. We used to be like the Von Trapp family at church, and they'd stand us up the front and all 7 of us would be singing, and it was funny. So we're starting to do that. We just have, when we get together, it's chaos. We're singing, we're cooking, just having a good time. And, they're inspiring in their own right. My sisters are people I just love and look up to, and I know that they're only starting their journeys. Once a mum gets to a certain point and their kids are leaving home, they'll just blossom when women come into their own,
Time. I always say, my time will come, when people go, man,
because your sister's launched her own food business, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's got 2 companies. She's got Raw Glory, which is a cheesecake business, which is named, it's
I love cheesecake.
Yeah, it's so good. And one of them's named after me. I was always thinking I wouldn't be a cheesecake, I'd be more of a fruit cake. I was like, I'll take it, I'm a cheesecake.
What flavour cheesecake are you?
I'm blueberry, but I was like, I really prefer to be chocolate, but my older sister, she's
blueberry.
great. It's good time. But and then she's seriously incredible. Then she's got another company called Bounty Box, and that's organic veggies and fruit and meat, and it just gets delivered to you all organic.
That's a good idea.
And so I helped her push that over COVID because my company kind
it
of
would have been amazing
come
timing.
back. And then
It'd be great to have you on board as a sister to, with your business knowledge and everything. Is everyone quite business minded in your family?
Getting more and more so now. The kids, you free up from your kids and you switch, brain switches on as a woman. You're like, right, what for me now? Boom, let's go. And it's about empowering each other. So over the COVID lockdown, I came up with a scheme of why don't you donate a bounty box and we can go and deliver it to families of need. And so I ended up putting it out there on my Instagram and Facebook, and we set up this charity that you could donate a bounty box to a family in need. And so people just donated like 15 bounty boxes, and there's me in COVID loading up the car, all these bounty boxes and driving around Auckland, and the faces that you knock on their door and they'll be like, they've got nothing. They're
so
barely
affording
to pay for their power, and they're there, and all the little kids come out and they're like,
imagine their little faces.
Hey, miss, you're an angel. And I was like, oh, if only, but thank you. But it makes your heart so full, that sort of stuff. So
it was a hard time for a lot of people, and you just doing that would have, you and your family doing that would have just uplifted and meant so much more to them than we could ever imagine.
Yeah, there was some beautiful, and we still stay in touch now. I go back and drop them Christmas presents and things as well.
That's so lovely.
Oh, you're so lovely.
You are an angel. No, I'm not. Yes, you are.
Okay, this is getting really awkward. I might fly away.
Oh, no, we want you in.
Oh, that's right, you handcuffed me.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you and your family sort of getting together and cooking up some new venture or something? Or
We are moving down a wellness path, because with the journey I've been on with mental health, I got to rock bottom. I didn't want to be here anymore when my relationship broke up, and I didn't know who I was. My kids were just, everything was a mess, and I lost who I was. And so I hit rock bottom, and sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to go, right, who am I? What do I want in this life? And I want wellness, and I want to help others through their toughness of life, and learn from those times when it's really tough, that it's okay to reach out. You are enough. And I was like, I'm worthless, I'm nothing, And it was a tough time. And I had to start by just looking myself in the mirror and saying, I am enough. And now I've gotten big neons in my living room. I am enough. And actually, this tattoo is when I hit rock bottom, it says I am enough, and it also is at that pressure point in your hand when you're real stressed, and I would press this and it would release it, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm enough, okay, cool. And sometimes it was just getting out of bed and just doing those things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, just the explanation of where you were at and how you were feeling. I think anyone who's gone through that, especially when there's children involved as well, and your whole lives are integrated, and you going through separation, you do go on a journey. You go on such a journey, and to get that low, and question where you are in life and really relate to, and it just sort of
I'm pretty sure a lot of people might be able to relate out there as well.
Yeah, and it is. You have to go right into yourself somehow and build again.
And where the
rebuilding.
fuck do you
It's
find that power, you know?
Well,
Like,
do you know what? The foundations are all there. You've just got to find. And people are reaching out to me. So many women are now saying, "How did you get away? How did you escape?" It's like they're living in jail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow, that just hit home with me saying that.
People are like, help me. Like, you know, you did it. How do I? And I'm like, well, you know, that's
why
why.
that fear first of all.
That's where I'm getting back to answering your question. We went off on a little tangent there, but my next journey is to help others on this journey and to let them find their power, find their strength, and know that they are enough. And so I'm going down a wellness pathway, and it's creating a wellness centre so people will have all the tools they need. I needed this place, and that place wasn't there for me.
I think a lot of people.
so
need
is
this place.
it's actually a centre, a designated place you have, a place where it is there and people can come and stay, you host people. Is it, what's involved? Meditation, organic food?
What is expected?
Breathing, obviously, yoga.
All the beautiful things.
Just
hot
a
and
safe
cold plunge.
space for them to.
Oh, you need a tissue. I love it.
We get emotional
know.
because there's a lot of triggers because we've all had our own journeys and a lot of things that we talk about bring up a lot of our own emotions and stuff, and that's why I think it's so beautiful about this is it's raw, it's real, it's reality. Yes. We want people to feel and know that it's actually okay to show your emotions and to reach out and feel supported by women and men or whoever you can find around you to help support you, and reach out to us, reach out to you, you know, whoever you feel comfortable reaching out
of
to.
Those judgments we spoke about earlier. You have a lot, you people don't realise you're going through this and your world is crumbling, your life as you know it, and sometimes depending on what the separation was, it took everything you had to go through it. And when you come out the other side, whether it's what you wanted or what you didn't want or anything like that, it's everything's gone. Everything as you know it is gone, and it's terrifying. What's ahead? What does life look like now? How am I going to survive this? What am I going to do? Where am I going to live? Like, there's so much. And there's so much that goes on between the dynamics of you and the person you've separated from, and then people just casting their judgments while you're going through that much pain and 100%. Fear, and to have a place to take that safe space where people are understanding and they really know where you're at, and they've gone through it themselves, and to create a space to then be able to relax into, feel free and gather their thoughts, gather their emotions, and go through it with support. Like, it's just a really, really beautiful concept. I hat off to you for it.
Yeah, it's not just, well, we're at the moment, we're looking at the land, we've got the whole business model, we've got the investor, we're actually just about to get the last investor on board. And, you know, it's going to be not just for people that have gone through that, but all things, like going back and healing past traumas from childhood. So you can go back and revisit your inner child through meditation. And I've done it, and it's a beautiful thing. You can actually go back through meditation, put your hand on your own shoulder and go, you're going to be okay. When you're an adult, you're strong, you're beautiful, you're powerful, and it's okay to let it go. And I've done that, and it's like, if you don't go back and revisit the things in your life that have hurt you or the people that have hurt you, and you set them free. And I learnt that through my journey of healing was, you know, to the person that's hurt you to say, thank you for the lessons you've taught me, but right now I'm going to let you go. And I let you go with love, and you release it back to them. Yeah. And it's so healing to release their hurt back to them with love.
Take it off you.
No,
it's fucking got my eyes
I didn't
going
expect
too,
we would
Holy
need
shit.
tissues for this particular one, but I have done some inner child work also, and I'm still actually learning to do that, because I think, and it's a very deep. I can be quite objective with things. I have that sort of separation thing going on where I can speak objectively about stuff, because it's almost like it's not me. It didn't happen to me, and I'm still working on, you know, that association, because I have a disassociation. And I did some inner child work, and it was amazing, because the inner child work was the one thing that just broke me down. And to see myself in this, because when you have children as well, it plays on that heartstring that you have children, and you have to go in
them?
And meet yourself. And I met myself, and I was quite forgiving of myself, but I had to sit and be like, I'm sorry, I've let you down, and I won't abandon you again, and I'm here, I'm going to protect you and love you.
I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm here to protect and love you. And I was like this little girl, and I think because I've also got a little girl, and the little girl was about the age of my two, and I was like, wow.
So powerful.
You know, and I need to look after you, and all of a sudden I felt so connected with myself, like this little girl's me, I need to look after me too.
You do, and we do every day. I think that's the key is as soon as, and as a mum, you just drain yourself to, it's just draining, and then your husband walks in the door and is like, what's for dinner?
Oh, there's more fucking drink.
And you're like,
make your own bloody dinner.
That's it. And how was your day? Oh, good. And then it gets worse and worse, and you're like, oh, well, who's looking after me? And that's the question, is who's looking after me? And if we don't look after ourselves, then
we have to make time to do that.
I used to think it was selfish. I used to think, oh my God, I'm looking after myself. It's so
the
selfish.
Guilt.
I still feel guilty when I do things for myself.
Sometimes it can come from others in the past having made you feel that way, and then it's something that you hold on to and continue through life until you actually go, no.
Yeah.
Not
set your boundaries. I didn't set any boundaries. I was like letting everyone take from me, and now I'm like, I've got boundaries, and I'm like, no, actually, and I never used to be able to say no. I was like, give. Like a Care Bear. I used to think I was the Care Bear with the big heart that just walked around shining and everywhere. And I'd be like, right, okay. Now I'm like, when I say no, I'm like, okay, cool. Because I don't have to say yes to everything. As much as I want to, I've got to see where my cup's at level of energy-wise. And if it's getting down here, like the other day I was like, man, it was 2 years of my granddad's anniversary of his death, and I was like...
I watched your stories on that,
horrific.
actually. But what your sister, because you could see how much pain you're going through, because you're very close with your grandfather, weren't you? Yeah. So, and you could see the pain of that, and your sister did something very special for you, didn't she?
She did. I was a mess, and actually... Oh, if I go back and tell you the actual story, I'll probably start crying. So, the day my granddad had a heart attack, I got a call, and I'm one of 7 girls, and I get the call from my granddad, and he's got one son, my dad, and my mum, and out of 9 of us, he called me, and I was like, wow, I feel so honoured, but so gutted, and I had my 2 boys, and my husband had flown over to go overseas on a boys' surfing trip. And anyway, my marriage was a mess. It was just a mess. Everything was just bad. And so my grandfather had this heart attack. I had to then get someone to look after my children. My mother-in-law, actually, she was beautiful. She came around and looked after my children. And I drove down to Tauranga, and my granddad had this poodle, and this poodle was his life. So I smuggled this poodle in a blanket looking like a baby into the hospital, and when I walked in there, he was like, because he was all he's worried about is the dog at home by himself, because they picked him up in an ambulance and then locked the house and the dog's there. So I got this little baby, put it in and pretended like a breastfeeding mother, walked into the hospital. And anyway, I get in there, no, you have to press a button to get through these doors, and in the end I thought, this lady's really nice, I'm just going to tell her. And she had 2 dogs, and she said, this is a healing hospital. You can actually we bring dogs in once a week. It helps the people.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I unsmuggle the dog. You're still alive? All right, God, woof. Imagine that. Oh man. Anyway, I get into the hospital, give my granddad the dog, and he just lights up, and he was just grinning from ear to ear, and more than when he saw me. And I was like, and I know he loved me so much, because he... I went and stayed with him for a few days, and we got a family roster, and then probably a couple of weeks later, he passed away, which was really, really sad. And the day of his funeral, I was standing on the stage singing with my sisters, or 7 sisters, grieving my husband, grieving the end of my marriage. I could feel it coming, and it was a horrific time. And I was like, I think the 2-year anniversary has brought me back to this place where I'm standing on the stage. I'm looking for my husband, who had landed that morning, to walk in the door and come in like my knight in shining armor, run down into my arms. And, everything was going to be better, like the Cinderella, story, fairy tale. And at that moment, at my granddad's funeral, I knew that I'd lost my granddad, I'd lost my marriage. And I was like, holy heck. And then a few weeks later, my dog died. And I was like, fuck.
Oh shit! It was really kicking, wasn't it? The universe was good.
It was tough blows.
I just couldn't handle it, and I just was like, I just don't want to be here anymore. This is so messed up. And so my granddad was so strong. He taught me so much. And then on his anniversary of his death, I realised, hold on, that was 2 years ago. Look what I've achieved in 2 years.
Wow, from where you were. And
I was a broken woman. I thought I didn't want to be on this planet anymore. I did massive self-healing. I've done these spiritual festivals, I went to Spirit Festival. First of all, I went to Revive, met the most amazing humans. I lost most of my friends because, the doctors were like, oh, have all these antidepressants and all this stuff. That does not help. You need to go and do breath work, meditation, yoga, introduce yourself to these healing people and not these people that are judging. And it was like, that was the start of my journey. And then from there, I've created a business over 4 COVID lockdowns with all adversity.
Which, by the way,
it's like, oh,
hats off to you.
yeah. So on the anniversary of his death, I thought, my gosh, fist pump. And I was sad because I miss him. But I was like, imagine if you could see me now. Imagine if you could see what I've achieved in that amount of time. And it was a you did that moment. I was going to say that.
You can say it, babe.
It was like a fuck yeah moment. But yeah, and that was 2 years, and I'm actually going from that to I am not enough to I am enough, and I can do anything. Now I'm like, I can manifest anything, and everything I'm manifesting is just happening. It's like bang. I got asked to be the ambassador for Maserati. And I'm like driving Maserati.
You're driving the fucking sexy Maserati. I know. I was like,
well, if you do want to do it.
Yeah. We'll take you for a ride. It's got a Ferrari engine, and when you turn it on, it goes vroom. And I call it growler. It's so sexy.
I'm driving my growler today. Vroom, vroom, babe, vroom, vroom.
it's so funny because that's what I was going to say. If I don't shave, if I don't or get laser, I used to always call it, like if it was getting a little, out of hand, I'd call it my hairy growler.
Your who, hairy growler?
If it got, I get laser now, but like before laser, if it got out of hand, I'd be like, hey, it's my hairy growler. Something's going on down there, But so you drive around,
Mine's more of a smooth kind of
growler.
Oh, I love Maseratis. They are sexy beasts.
Six on wheels.
So how did that happen? They approached you. Maserati approached you.
Well, it was a beautiful story. I went into Maserati, and this is cool about communications and collaborations. And so my son used to go snowboarding with this other boy, and his father actually owns Maserati, and I had that connection, and we've always kept in touch on the side of the rugby field and that sort of thing. And I was going through the midlife crisis, broken up with a husband, Thelma and Louise moment, I'm going to go buy a convertible. And I was looking at the 8 Series BMW, and I was like, oh, that would look cool. Open up the boot, my golf clubs won't fit in that. It's not going to work for me. So next minute, I'm walking down the road with my sons, and they're like, let's look at Maserati. I was like, no, they'll just be sports cars. And Brody, my son's like, we should go in and have a look. And so I was like, I don't know. And then I go in there, and there it is.
Oh, hello, Six on Wheels.
It's just so amazing. And I'm just like, and he's like, we should take it for a drive. And I was like, oh, Wayne, yeah, I'm sure. And so we take it for a drive. I let my son sit in the front. He takes us for a ride, drive around the block. He says, Kyria, take it overnight. And then,
where am I going? Who am I going to visit? Right, girls.
Remind me to go car shopping with you.
And then it was like, luxury lass, don't underestimate the power of your brand. Mm-hmm. And I'm never one to ask for a discount or ask for anything, but I was going through a tough time, and financially it was tough. We hadn't separated our stuff yet. And I just rang him and I said, hey, I don't know anything about cars. However, would there be any chance that you could give me a deal on this? I didn't mean to be an ambassador or anything. And next minute I'm the ambassador, and we've got 2 Maseratis in our fleet, our luxury lass. So good things are happening.
Absolutely.
Love Maserati!
And that's a strong thing.
Needing more ambassadors. Hey, I'll take the opportunity now too, like you, babes. Need any more?
If you don't ask, you don't get. Yeah.
That's the power of manifestation, though, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge.
It's so big. Like, what would you say for anyone sort of listening to this conversation and going through those hard times right now that can relate to what you're saying? What would you say to them? Because from that process of where you are now.
Like
You
our
have
professor
to-
gave you advice, what's your advice for everybody else?
As much as it's hard at the time, write down some things you like about yourself or you love about yourself. I got a journal and I had to write 100 things I loved about myself, or I loved about things I'd done. And I was so blocked. You know, it's like you're seeing a vision, it's just black, and you couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. All of a sudden, when I started thinking, I have to write down things I love about myself,
wow.
I was like, oh, there's a glimmer of hope. Because you end that marriage and you're like, it was all my fault. Or, you know, and when a relationship does end, it is both sided. It's never one-sided.
Oh, God, no.
There is, as much as one might be more, you know, you feel like the other one's got more, you know, fault than the other, and a lot of times there is. It's you know, there's a lot of a domino effect of actions. You need to know that. Find the things you love about yourself, write them down. And she said, write 100 things you love about yourself. And I was like, all right, I've done a marathon, done a couple of 100Ks, raised some money for charity. And you're starting to write your achievements. And I was like, hold on, I'm actually bloody amazing. I've done all that. Where was that girl gone? Where's that girl gone that used to do all those things? Yeah. And then I was like, there I am. And then the pen started going. I was like, and then they made me look in the mirror and say, I am enough. You're strong and you're powerful, and you had to say it every day. Look in the mirror and go, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I am enough. And write it down, get a tattoo. You know, no one else needs to know where it is. But, you know, empower yourself, stand in your light, and get away from the people that judge you. I had to cut all of my friend group off, which was horrific.
Yeah,
it was
really
heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, but it's important, for self-growth.
Rebuild.
Yeah.
Well, it's heartbreaking.
They're coming back.
They're
coming back now, but it's not because. Sometimes it wasn't their judgment, and some of them weren't judgmental. They were just talking, and it would go around, and it would come back to me, and I'm like, if I distance myself, and don't engage in that negative vibration, and I wrote down, I had so many awesome. Lavender on Instagram, she was amazing, and it was just basic. I was like reaching out to find something, and she taught me journaling, and I got my journal and I wrote down. She'd say 10 ways to lift your vibrations, and it was meditation, music. So I'm like dancing around my room in the morning. I went from like couldn't get out of bed to a gratitude diary. I wrote a gratitude diary every day, all the things I was grateful for.
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
I do a gratitude.
Yeah, we say it every night.
I do it. Yeah, same.
Yeah, every night with my daughter. Every night.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also checking your cup and where it's full, and whether you can and can't say things, you know, do things and pull back.
Learning to say no, finding your voice to say no, I can't.
And that's actually hard for a lot of people.
Nothing against anything or anybody. There's no offence in it. It's just I don't have it to give, and that's quite important with your boundaries.
Saying no is the most powerful word. Just no. And I was like, when she was teaching me this at this course, I was like, can I say no, thank you?
What is the course? What's the course that you did?
It was just, there's online courses, but I also went down to Araha. I did Araha retreat because that's where I got the idea to do my own wellness centre. It's different. It's not going to be, Araha's amazing, but it's real high end and it's really expensive. And if you don't have that sort of money to go and heal, then you miss. There's a whole market there that's in the middle of the.
We've discussed before, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we're doing it.
There's a lot of people that want that help and to go down that track, but literally cannot afford it because it's really expensive.
It's so expensive.
Yeah.
So in our new wellness centre, we're going to have that you can donate one to someone else. And so if you enjoyed it.
See, and that's what it's about. You know, when people are really about giving and helping people, then that's what you do.
Makes it feel more authentic, doesn't it, than just the dollar bills.
Just charging, and
Koha, you could come and work on the land. Come and work on the land and work it off for your time, stuff like that.
But you're incredible.
You really are. You're bloody awesome.
You're incredible.
So uplifted.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're so giving, and pretty much, you know, all the stories that we're sort of talking about. You've got so much. You've got that generosity, and not just in, you know, we think generosity or tangible, in energy and love and
you're very genuine. You're really genuine, authentic. You know,
I can feel it too. Yeah,
you know, yeah, because
strong woman.
Yeah, go us.
Look out, world.
Here to dominate.
Where are you up to with the retreats and the wellness stuff? Where are you up to? And
so we're getting on a lot of the facilitators. So we're going to have some subcontractors come in to do certain tasks. So we might do one that's just based on, you know, people that have gone through a marriage breakup. Or we're going to have the facilitators come in, but we also have some that will stay on site. We're about to go and look at some land So we're at that process, but we've got the whole business plan there, so it's at the raw state. The visions are all there. We're going to have animals running around. We're going to grow all the veggies there. It's going to be solar power. It's going to
that's how it's
all the good things.
Beautiful.
You'll have to let us know when it's up and
Auckland
going, 'cause
based?
I think we should
Will it be
go.
Auckland based or out of Auckland?
We're looking at some land just about an hour and a half, 2 hours out of Auckland at the moment. So yeah, if anyone knows of any, we are looking, and I want it to be able to see the
Anybody
ocean.
know any land? Holla.
Opportunity.
Manawhai way sort of thing. Maybe. Yeah. Anybody that knows of any land up there.
Yeah. So we're looking at that, and it's going to be a beautiful place of healing. We want it to be a community that you can feel safe and you want to come back to. We're going to have an online platform, so not only that, you can come in on the website and do these lessons and help overseas. You can come in and have one of these classes and we can talk about real stuff and healing on there. And we've got all these amazing humans that I've met at all this Revive Festival. That's an incredible festival. If you should come as well. It starts it's the 6th to the 9th of January, and I met a lot of my new friends there, and they are creatives. So they are artists and they are musicians, and you go there and you just feel like family. There is no judgment.
Same vibration of energy. Yeah.
People just come up to you and they're like, "Hey, how you going? Do you want some of my food?" And you're like, "Oh, dude, I'm hungry." And just start eating out of their bowl, and you're like, "I don't even know you, but amazing, great beans." And it's just so nice. And by the end of it, they're like coming up and like, "Do you want a hug?" And you're having a hug, and then I went to this amazing sex workshop, which was Morgan Penn. Have you heard of her? You have to do a podcast with her. She's incredible, but she does.
We're coming for you, Morgan.
Yeah, she's amazing.
We're coming your way, Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan Penn. Yeah, she taught you. I went to her workshop and she taught me about cutting the sexual ties to anyone that's. You had trauma in your old relationships, and she's like, get in there and you're cutting it and you're letting them go, and you do the same thing. And
she does like womb healing.
Yes. So good.
And
it just sort of releasing it.
Yeah, getting rid of their energy out of you.
Yeah. Does it get really emotional going through that?
Some of the ladies were crying and holding the ground and holding each other. The woman it was a beautiful thing. People were just weeping. You're like, whoa. And they were just letting it go. And it was like amazing. It was such a safe, beautiful place to let that past trauma go. And you just were like, and some ladies were just like, wow. And a lady next to me, I could feel that she was like going through something, and at the end she was like, I lost a baby, and I was like, whoa, this is intense. And next minute you're counselling each other with love and holding each other and holding space for each other, and you make lifelong friends. And that 3 days I made about 40 new friends, and then over that summer we carried on to hanging out and doing business together. Now that I've got them singing on our boats. They come in, and I've got friends of mine, Jasper and Jane. They're an incredible duo. They're singing on our boats live.
Amazing.
We had the Herald on there. They did an article on them. Their business has gone massive.
Incredible.
And so
you don't know who you're going to connect with, and you don't always know. I mean, people come into our lives. I am a big believer of purpose. You have people come and go for purpose, and you learn your lessons, and you have a journey, shared journey maybe. But you don't always know when you're connecting with someone quite what that's going to mean and what that's going to look like in the future. I mean, Sarah and I, we met at our girls' preschool together, and we connected as mums, and then a friendship grew, and now we're, running a business together.
In 2 years. Well, yeah, 2 years.
In 2 years,
look what's
yeah.
happened,
You just don't know who you
phenomenal.
connect with and where it's going to take you in life. And, you seem to be doing such beautiful things for people that come. You're such a giver, and I think that when you let that energy flow, that sort of continues through. So you've got people that will sort of enter your path and help grow you, and you're helping grow others, and it's really such a beautiful cycle in that way.
Yeah, we've got to spread all that. We've got to get it all out there, so more and more people will be like you.
I can feel a movement happening. I mean, all these things that we're doing in the mental health, and it's such a concern that there needs to be a movement of no judgment. And who are we to judge each other? We're all human. We all make mistakes. And if we all just go together and uplift each other, then this stuff doesn't happen. The suicides don't happen. I mean, you get so scared for your kids out there in this world.
Shit, yes.
We've got to make some changes. We've got to make it now. And even this is a spin-off, but we've just joined with Eat Less Plastics for Luxury Lass, because we've got 20 charter boats out there, and the ocean with that lockdown has cleansed itself, right? So we just had them come in, and we're doing a massive stuff with them. So it's
ticking the fabulous boxes, babes. Tick, 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 tick.
I just love all this stuff. I love it.
You feel that passion, you're passionate about it. Or,
when the lockdown happened, the fish were in abundance, right? And the air was clean. Did you hear the birds in lockdown?
Yes.
And you're like, the birds are amazing. Right, how do we keep this momentum? How do we clean up this planet? How do we clean up our mental health? And by being kind, by not judging, and thinking about what we're doing to the environment, what we're putting into our bodies, and all those things. And like that's why I'm so passionate about, we've got 20 charter boats, but how do we give back? So we're offsetting that through Luxury Lass, through Eat Less Plastics, and they're going around, and these microplastics in the water, that the fish are eating, and then they're going inside us, all this plastic, we're eating so much plastic.
Wow, that's interesting.
So it's
I didn't know that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Vicious circle.
Yeah.
But,
So,
if everybody did something towards making everything, better, then it's easier. It's like battling it all on your own, it just doesn't work. But everybody's got to pitch in.
I have a game I play that you can walk down the road, and I say, right, I'm going to see how many people I can make smile today. Yeah. And I'll be like, hi. I'll just be a total idiot. Or I'll just walk. I was walking back through Remuera with my mum. I just decided that I was going to go, when I setting up our new boat shed, because we've got one of those Iraqi boat sheds, the historic boat sheds.
Love
and
it,
I renovated it. You have to come and see it.
So
it's
awesome.
incredible, our office.
Have you had any functions in it?
We did a
I see the
drinks and
Maseratis
bar.
out there.
I used to have functions. I had an old one.
Because I remember going by, like a couple of times I've been by, and there's been like, I think it was teenagers having this like party or thing, but it was like so nicely done. It looked so pretty, and I was like, oh, what's going on in there? I wish I could peek inside.
Well,
it
definitely,
great.
it's our office. So I've renovated it, and it's 2-story mezzanine. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come by. But when I was walking through Remuera this time, I was just like, we're going to get everything secondhand from the hospice shops. I'm not going to go and buy flash stuff. Like all these things in the hospice shops are there to kit out the boat shed. So I went and bought all this old fine china that your grandparents put in the cupboard and they never used. So it's all mismatched. Anyway, it's off the topic. Well, Mum and I are walking down the road, raving story, and walking down the road, and I'm like, Mum, let's play a game, and she's very like, very religious, and and she's like, what are you doing? She's always like, what is she doing now? And I'm just, this guy's walking past me, and I'm just like, wait till I'm getting eye contact with him, and then he's looking at me, and I give him this big smile, and then he goes, oh, excuse me, as I walk past, and I was like, oh no, what did it?
Oh, yeah. You made him smile.
What happened? He goes, you've got really nice eyes. And I was like, oh, so by doing that, it actually made my day. And I was like, oh, by making someone else's day, he turned around and said, you've got nice eyes. And I was like,
Domino effect.
oh, it was. And it was like, then it made it his day, and I walked off to Mum and said, I've got nice eyes. And she goes, yes, you do. Oh. And then I felt even more nice. And I was like,
can we actually give everyone your challenge then?
Yeah.
So can everyone who's watching this today or tomorrow, if it's late because you've not got much time, go out and make someone smile, and would love to hear your stories and your encounters and what comes back. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a new challenge.
I've had such a cool day. Thank you so much. You're amazing. You radiate such a beautiful energy. You're so easy to talk to. It's nice to know that the fame isn't going to your head. Down to earth, keeping humble, keeping it real.
You're really authentic.
Yeah,
And that really
thank
shows
you.
in all you do. And it's actually been such an honour today for us to get to know you, because you're such a beautiful person, inside and outside, with those beautiful eyes.
Eyes, yeah. Thank you. I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to tell anybody before we
there's
wrap
so
up
much
the
more
show?
to me than that, but I think it's been an absolute honour to be here today, and I feel all of you are very strong, beautiful women, and I'm really blessed to be here, and thank you for the safe space to share.
We feel the exact same
Can
way.
we have
Thank
you back, please?
Oh, anytime.
This can't be the end of it. Like, this is too good. Like, we need you back.
We'll do
it's
some.
been really lovely.
I'll do
Nice
some bullet
experience.
points of things we missed, but there's so much.
So much to talk about, isn't there? It's just
Well,
fantastic.
maybe when you do your wellness centre, get the wellness centre up, we
yeah.
can come out, or you can come back on and we can talk
come
about
and
your wellness
explore it,
centre and talk about that. So
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
well, we'll definitely be keeping in touch. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, my beautiful, lovely ladies. Thank you so much for watching. Be kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make someone smile.
Yeah.